On behalf of the Board of School Directors of the PENNCREST School District, I'm going to call the reorganization meeting to order and explain to you the process here. First, at this time, we have, since 4 members of the board stood for re-election, we have what we call 5 holdover members. Those 5 holdover members will, from among them, those 5, elect a temporary president. The temporary president's role here would be first to have the secretary read the certificates of election for those who stood for election, and then the oath will be administered to those individuals. At that point, we will have a full complement of 9 board members, and the first order of business for the temporary president would be to accept nominations and conduct an election for the board president for the next year. And then we'll follow the agenda on from there. So the first order of business would be for those 5 individuals who did not stand for re-election to nominate and elect a temporary president for the meeting. I'll open the floor for nominations for a temporary president.
I just say keep Luigi where he's at.
Nominations do not require a second, so I have a nomination for Mr. DeFrancesco. Are there other nominations from the floor? Hearing none, and sensing that you're prepared, I will declare the nominations for temporary president closed and call for the vote. All those in favor of Mr. DeFrancesco to act as temporary president, please indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
Those opposed? Motion carries. Mr. DeFrancesco, would you have the board secretary read the certificates of election and proceed with the oath of office?
Board Secretary will read the election certificates.
We, the undersigned members of the County Board of Elections of Crawford County, hereby certify that after tabulating the votes cast at the municipal election held on the 2nd day of November 2021 in said county, appears that Teresa Kroll, Robert Johnston, Brian Lynch, and Matthew Vogt were duly elected to the office of PENNCREST School Board Director for 4-year terms.
Thank you. Sheldon.
Yeah.
Denise.
Denise,
Okay. For, please stand. Okay. The Board of School Directors of the PENNCREST School District's oath of office as a school director. I state your name.
I, Matt Westwood,
Do solemnly swear
solemnly swear
that I will support,
that I will support,
obey, and defend the Constitution of the United States
obey, and defend the Constitution of the United States
and Constitution of the Commonwealth,
and the Constitution of the Commonwealth,
that I will discharge the duties
and will discharge the duties
of my office
of my office
with fidelity.
with fidelity.
Okay. Now, can you come around and sign these forms? Oh, that's Trista's. Hey, Brian. What? Okay. It's okay.
I'm gonna shut it down. Thank you.
Okay, call the meeting to order. Make a roll call. Roll call.
Mr. Brooks?
Here.
Mr. Brown?
Here.
Ms. Crawl?
Here.
Mr. Davis, Mrs. Davis, sorry. Mr. DeFrancesco.
Here.
Mr. Johnston.
Here.
Mr. Lynch.
Here.
Mr. Gillespie.
Here.
Mr. Vogt.
Here. Pledge allegiance.
Please stand for the pledge of allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you. Proceeding with nominations for president. Do we have any nominations? We do not need a second. Correct. Just a nomination.
Nominate Tim Brown.
Any other nominations? Any others?
Is that Mr. Lynch?
Yes. Yes.
If no other nomination, we're going to close the nominations.
Yeah, take a roll call.
All in favor to
Roll call. Do you want to roll call?
Roll call. Say the name of the individual you're voting for.
Mr. Brooks?
Tim Brown.
Mr. Brown?
Tim Brown.
Ms. Crawl?
Tim Brown
is in
Francesco.
Oh,
That's why you have to say the name.
Ms. Davis? Mr. DeFrancesco? Mr. Johnston? Mr. Lynch? Mr. Gillespie? Mr. Vogt?
Luigi De Francesco.
Ms. Crawl?
Mr. DeFrancesco.
Congratulations. Do we have a time?
Yeah, 63.
All right. Nominations. Okay, we have the president, appointed president. We have a nomination for vice president. Any nomination for vice president?
Tim Brown.
Do we have two nominations? Any other nominations? Okay, let's move to close the
Wait,
nomination.
Mr. Lynch, did you nominate somebody?
Mr. Vogt.
Okay, I just wanted to make sure.
Mr. Brown. Roll call giving names of your choice, your selection.
Okay, Mr. Brooks?
Tim Brown.
Mr. Brown?
Me.
Ms. Crawl?
Tim Brown.
Ms. Davis? Mr. DeFrancesco?
Vote.
Mr. Johnston? Mr. Lynch? Mr. Gillespie?
Tim Brown.
Mr. Vogt?
Myself.
6-3, Mr. Brown.
Congratulations.
Yep, Mr.
We have Tim Brown as vice president.
Pick up here. Item 9 is recommend approval to appoint Quinn Law Firm, George Joseph Solicitor, for the 22 school year according to the attached engagement letter.
So moved.
Second.
Let's have a roll call. This is to vote to accept the present solicitor, Joseph George, as the solicitor of the district.
Teresa, did you second? Mr. Brooks?
Aye.
Mr. Brown?
Yeah.
Ms. Crawl?
Yes.
Ms. Davis? Yes. Mr. Judy Francesco?
Yes.
Mr. Johnson?
Yes.
Mr. Lynch? Mr. Gillespie?
Yes.
Mr. Boyd?
Yes.
And
Thank you all. Item 10 is recommend approval of the attached voting meeting dates, times, and locations for 2022 calendar year. I attached an option where there was one meeting a month, typically our second Thursday, unless it conflicted with a holiday. And I moved all those meetings back to the boardroom. Certainly the board can have some discussion about how we want to have the meetings this year, if this is not the schedule that they would most like to implement.
Is there any discussions?
Yeah, I think this is stupid. But one meeting a month,
Can you speak up a little bit? I just think.
I'm against the one meeting a month. We have too many times we go through things on Monday, and it's nice having that couple of days to discuss, think, ask questions. Yeah, and we get a lot of material that we're asked to vote on. We don't have time to sit here and read 2 or 3 pages of material and vote on it. I won't. I refuse it. We have a $54 million budget. We have people up our butts about spending money, but you want us to do everything one day a month. I disagree with that.
I agree with Mr. Brown. I think of the hundreds of things we've talked about and how many we've moved, asked for more information on, asked for more input, asked questions. I think the work sessions are invaluable, and it gives us 2 times a month to sort out what we're talking about. It also helps people know what we're talking about, so there's more transparency from the board.
Plus, if we have a discussion on Monday, it gives some, the people, the citizens to think about it and come talk to us on Thursday.
Is this the only recommendation that's on? I mean, can we?
No, you could make a motion to change the meetings. Last month, I think we submitted 3 options. One had committee meetings on it, one had what we're used to, work session voting, and one had the voting meeting. So there are 3 options out there. Before
We have proceed with any change.
But in last month, there was 3 options out there, and I thought we were going to discuss which one of those options, not just over one. Like I said, there's just too much information we have to go through. I'm not comfortable with
Are there any other comments from the other directors?
I agree. I think we need to have a second.
So that again?
We need to have a second day for the meeting, you know, like a work day, and then a couple days later have a regular meeting like we have. As hard as it is for me, I still need that time to make sure I go through all the material that's allowed. So I think we're better off with 2 days.
And I think from the November meeting, it's option 2. I just pulled it up on the board docs. So that I agree with Jeff and Tim and Brian and with you guys. I think we should at least have those 2, the work session and then the voting session.
We make them out the motion then to take option 2. Would that be what we do? Is there any other discussion?
Jennifer? Okay, well, then,
I'd like to make the motion to accept option number 2 for the board calendar.
option 2 will mean work session
Work
and
session.
regular meeting.
So option 2 would be the second week of the month typically, and we'll advertise this, and it'll be clearly spelled out. It'll be the first, that second Monday of the full week, and then the Thursday is the voting meeting. So work session Monday, voting meeting Thursday, very similar to what we have. All the meetings beginning in January will move back to the boardroom at central office. We will start to decrease the Zoom meetings and invite everybody in person. Additionally, for your information, we most likely will have to change April and May because that will be when the construction, the Visa project is at central office. So I'm going to talk with the facilities department and we'll get a calendar and we'll advertise that calendar. But you are approving option 2, which is a work session Monday and a voting meeting Thursday. Okay?
Same as before.
Okay.
Okay, very good. We don't need to take a vote, it's not to change, right?
Yeah.
No, you need to take a vote.
Okay. All right, all in, did we have a second to Mr. Brooks?
I don't like the motion.
I'll second it.
Okay, we got a second. All right, all in favor for the option proposed by Mr. Brooks? Say aye.
Aye.
Any objections? No objection. Motion passed.
Item 11 is resolved that the PENNCREST Board of School Directors hereby reaffirms the PSBA standards for effective school governance and PSB Code of Conduct of members of the Pennsylvania School Boards Association. Original policy was adopted in November 2006, revised March 10, 2011.
Do we have a motion?
So moved.
Second.
Okay, we have a motion and a second. Any discussions, questions?
Are we gonna have, I know we haven't the last year or two because of COVID, but, is there gonna be a class for the new board members, or new elected board members, to go over the conducts? 'Cause
Yes.
I think
Yes.
that would definitely, you know,
Any further
we
discussion?
should do it here for personal, I mean, we could do it here.
Correct.
Doesn't matter.
Any other questions, or? If not, all in favor of the motion is presented, say aye.
Aye.
Any objections? No objections, motion is approved.
Item 12, we're recommending approval to appoint an individual for the PSBA liaison,
So this is a 2-year,
1 year.
1 year term. Any volunteers?
What is the PSBA?
Well, Mr. Bullock did it last.
Right, so I mean, is there a meeting to go to, or is it just going by emails?
No,
Kind of like a legislative update more than anything else,
What you get
I
on
would say.
emails and stuff.
Yes.
the idea is to find out what the PSBA
Yeah,
has to say, to keep us involved with what's going on.
I'll do it this year.
All right, thank you. Mr. Brown?
So recommend approval, appoint Mr. Brown
Okay, all in,
as the PSBA liaison effective December 1 through 30/22.
now we need a motion. We need a motion.
So moved.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Motion.
Item 13 is recommend approval to appoint an individual to the Crawford County Career Tech Center through November 2024. This is the seat that Mr. Giroux had occupied, Mr. Valesky was filling in.
Was Mr. Valesky willing to keep the position? Okay, we need a motion then. A motion to appoint Mr. Valesky to the position.
So,
Second.
We have a motion and a second. Discussion of the questions?
This was just to fill the position that I've already been filling.
Yes,
right? It's
correct.
not like Bob Johnston's.
No,
Okay.
it's the vacant position.
This is a vacancy, you have a full term, how many years?
Yep, forever.
3 years. Okay, if there's no discussion, that's all in favor of the motion, say aye.
Aye.
Any objection? If With no objection, motion to approve.
There are no announcements. Motion to adjourn.
So moved.
Second.
The organization meeting at this time is adjourned. Do we have a motion?
We have a motion.
Second? Okay. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
The adjournment meeting is adjourned. Now we're gonna move to the regular meeting.
Call the board. Call the board.
We're gonna have a roll call, please.
Mr. Brooks,
Here? Okay.
Mr. Brown,
Still here.
Ms. Crawl, still here. Ms. Davis, Francesca,
Here.
Johnston,
Still here.
Mr. Lynch, Mr. Valesky, Mr. Vogt.
Here.
Recommend approval of the attached meeting minutes for November 8 and November 11, 2021.
So moved.
Second.
We have motion and second. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Motion approved.
We have three brief presentations this evening. We're going to start first with Mrs. Stevens. And we're going to get hooked up. You can bear with us for a minute.
I'm good. Good evening.
If you want to use my
Congratulations.
microphone.
What?
If you want to use my microphone.
I don't know. Can you hear me?
Probably not.
Use the
Can't
microphone.
go here.
I'm sorry.
Tom, can you turn those lights down? Is that working? Thank you. Thank you. I had it on.
Good evening. I'm Jennifer Stevens. I am blessed to be the principal of Cambridge Springs Elementary School. I've also worked for the PENNCREST School District for over 25 years. I was just sitting figuring out in my head. And a lot has happened in the last few. Actually, the last time that the school board, that I presented to the school board was in March of 2020. It was the last time we were together before the COVID shutdown. Actually, we were in the cafeteria over at the elementary school, and we had a 4-H presentation. The Webster family brought all their pigs in. And then the next day, things changed dramatically. But I am so pleased to announce that August of this year, I was back at the fair supporting our students, and our 4-H students did us very proud, did this community very proud. The time and effort that they put into that is truly amazing. So I just wanted to give you a little update. The pigs are doing great, the Websters are doing great, and we have more younger students getting involved in 4-H and represented themselves, their families, and our school district at the fair this summer. This year we started back to school, and it was different, but there was a great feeling at the beginning of the school year, and we've been building upon those strengths ever since. I would like to take some time to do a couple of thank yous. The teachers do get a work day to get ready for the beginning of the school year, but I can tell you that one day, 8 hours did not cut it. We were moving furniture, we were reorganizing, we were preparing in ways that we have never prepared before, and our teachers rose to the occasion. I cannot say enough about how pleased I am with the faculty and staff at my building, and I know it happened at all 6 of the PENNCREST schools. I think we did build upon some strengths as administrators too. One of the most positive things that I think we did was get started early, bringing in new teachers, new faculty and staff, and I've been blessed to have some teachers that have moved around throughout the school district into my building, as well as welcoming some new teachers into the building. So starting those interviews early was definitely key. I'd also like to take the opportunity to thank the families at Cambridge Springs. I know it wasn't easy sending students off to college the last 2 years. I'm sure it was even more difficult to send a 5-year-old to school. And I thank them for the trust that they put in us, and I do take it seriously, and so do our staff. So thank you very much to the families that entrust us every day with their children. We do not take that privilege lightly. Our faculty and staff, we did prepare, and we welcome back families into our building for the first time in over a year. And our open house was a tremendous success. I would also like to thank all of the community support that we got. The outpouring of support was amazing, from civic organizations to, I'll forget some, but let me name a few. I would like to thank our librarian. She came over and was part of our kindergarten orientation. That's a partnership that we will build upon. We will not forget that. We also had our pre-K classrooms that moved over the summer and returned. I thank them for all their support in moving and getting relocated at Cambridge Elementary. Also, our women's prison employees did a drive, and they presented us with a ton of supplies for our students for back to school. And that community support continues today. We get hats, gloves, coats, socks, things that we need to distribute to our students. So I really appreciate all of the community support. This year has had a much different impact, and it has been tremendous. It's been a pleasure to be back in school. It has been extremely difficult, but it has also been a pleasure. It's been a joy. A couple of the things that we were missing that we are back to, the Rocky Grove Invitational. I think later on this evening we're going to get to honor some students that are involved in cross country. I can tell you myself, I have a student who is a sophomore at a Division I college running, and he started out at the Rocky Grove Invitational. So I was really pleased to have that back, and I thank the coaches that made that happen and reached out to the elementary to get us back involved this year. We also have elementary basketball programs back in our buildings. This year, our kindergartners returned. They walked down to the firehouse for Fire Safety Week. And PBS brought Daniel Tiger to visit, although at a distance, with our kindergartners this year. Also, our PTO is becoming reinvigorated. They've started back fundraising. Their focus would be much needed, our playground at Cambridge Elementary. So they are back in the mix. They actually had their first meeting in quite some time last night. Also, our Cambridge Springs Little Gritters had a lot of success this year, so it was thrilling to have them back representing us. Also, earlier you did approve some books for our library. I'm pleased to tell you that our library, which we were not having students go to last year, is back in session, and those books arrived. Our students have been thrilled. Also tonight you got some cards that I shared with you. Those are from Cambridge Elementary students that are involved in an innovator club after school. So they're run by circuits. I did put them in my bag, and I apologize, I probably should have been a little more delicate with them. But if on the inside you can see that they're studying circuitry. They're also working on hydroponics in our building. We're back to a lot of things in our gym, a lot of clubs and activities. Mrs. Bullock does toe tags for kids that run an extra mile club. Also, I talked about new employees. We do have a new music teacher, Victoria Reed. She's been a positive addition to our building, and we are so thrilled to have chorus back up and running, and we're reinvigorating our elementary music program that will feed into the high school. Last year, recess was very segregated, and we've been able to open that up as well, and so that's been a joy for students. As I said, we have continued to build on our community strengths, our tech integration, and our teacher collaboration. We have been blessed to have a little bit of time every morning with our teachers, and we've been able to take collective problem-solving skills to a new level, and they were much needed. Although we're building on those strengths, we do see it's a little bit of a game of whack-a-mole sometimes. You get one thing under control and another thing pops up. So we are finding that we are having arising needs, and it's not just our school district, it's across our country. There are definitely some academic gaps. We are experiencing major social-emotional needs with our young children. There was a need there beforehand that was not met in this area, and it's becoming increasing mental health needs. Also, there are increasing strains on our families, but also on our administrators, on our faculty, and our staff. One thing that we invigorated on, we worked on our strength of PBIS. We had a solid foundation and a positive behavior intervention support plan. And we've built on that this year. We really went back to teaching our expectations in a way that we haven't probably in several years. So we went back to our basics, to our strengths, and we're building upon those. Our teachers give out blue slips for expected behaviors. Then there's another level of true blue certificates when a student really goes above and beyond. At Cambridge Springs Elementary, we say, be proud, be blue. And blue stands for brave leaders who are understanding and striving for their personal excellence. So anytime a student shows that they're being brave, trying something new, problem solving, or exhibiting leadership skills, or understanding and empathy towards others, tolerance, or striving for their own personal excellence, we're really all about personal growth, where you're at and where we want you to be moving towards. So we are recognizing those things regularly. Our students, through their 3D printer, making bag tags with Mr. Dutchcott in technology class, and we give those out as rewards. We've also figured out new ways to do things like Student of the Month. And our students are working collectively. So they use their blue slips, they collect them. Most recently, we had gobble games because we got enough blue slips. So we celebrated right before Thanksgiving with some gobble games. And now we're working towards having a blackout day. Those are our school-wide expectations. We explicitly teach them, reteach them, teach them again. We put them in the announcements. And we're also taking a very close look at our data. So this is our Blue Devil destination. There's just screenshots, so you're not going to see any student names or anything like that. But our Blue Devil destination, like I said, we have that teacher collaboration time. It's our one-stop shopping website for our teachers in the morning. And one of the things that we're looking at is our behavior data. We're looking at our referrals all the time. What you see up here is an example of, you can see, well, you can't see student names, but there are students on the left-hand column. You can see how many referrals they have. We're able to see who's getting multiple referrals. We're able to see where those referrals are coming from, our classrooms, our buses. We're able to pinpoint the time of day. And this was all done in Google Data Studio. 2 years ago, I had no idea about Google Data Studio. I've not taken a class in Google Data Studio. This is collective effort. It's led by my guidance counselor and teachers, and we're all learning together. We've made huge strides in the last 2 years with our technology integration. But it was strongly based on the fact that we were set up for success. So I thank you, the board members that were here, for our one-to-one initiative, for approving those things. I know they were difficult decisions several years ago, but they have been the foundation of our success in the last 2 years. They have been essential for the work that we've done to make sure that our students are not stuck in those gaps, but are moving forward. So we're looking at this data all the time. We can dip down all the way to buses, what bus numbers. But we look at the data, and a common phrase that I say this year, and I'm sure people are getting sick of it in my building, is, so what, now what? We have a plethora of data, but what are we doing with it? We started out just seeing a need, a social emotional need in our building, and we just started at bare basics. So we're making sure that teachers in their classroom, in our gym classes, and the pictures you can see, are really stressing the importance of just students working together. We're reintroducing games so that they can then go out and play at recess. Many of you probably grew up where you just got a ball and went outside. That's not working for us right now. We have to figure out different ways. And one of them is supporting students and explicitly teaching what recess looks like, how you invite someone to join a game, and the rules of the game. We have an app on our iPad that's a guidance counselor app. And I was hysterical the other day because 2 boys came in and they very much wanted to talk to Mr. Burek, our guidance counselor, but he was not available. I couldn't get them to let me help them, and then I realized they really wanted to go over the rules of kickball. And he's the pitcher out at kickball, and that was their major concern for the day. But we are finding a lot of new solutions, such as our guidance counselor being the pitcher at kickball. We're having increased bus meetings. The other day, a trooper came in to assist us with a bus that we were having multiple write-ups on and some safety issues. And we are increasing our consequences. Also, we have new solutions that involve increased second step time. You've heard about the second step curriculum, but we made sure in our master schedule this year that we have time set aside, a good chunk of time at every grade level to make sure that those lessons are being taught with fidelity, and that there is additional time available because we've added on a bully component to that. We also have several students that are at an upper level of PBIS, so they're in a check and connect situation or with a check and connect mentor. And we're embedding all of the second step into our morning announcements and using that data. So for example, for our gobble games, students knew based on our data what behaviors we were targeting and where we were trying to flood blue slips. And we had a great time at gobble games. There's some pictures of the students participating. Not only behavioral and social emotional data, but just as important, perhaps more important, is our academic data. And again, we were set up for success because of the groundwork in previous years. So we have an assessment schedule set up. Our teachers were already comfortable in STAR Renaissance, which had started previously, and we were able to build upon that. So on the left there, you see our elementary assessment schedule, and on the right is a student's trajectory with their STAR ELA assessment. We're looking at this data regularly, and the main questions we're asking this year are how can we ensure timely instructional shifts based on that data, as well as how can we maximize resources. I believe Mr. Brown, you mentioned you're in charge of a very large budget. Please know, I'm in charge of a very large budget and I take it extremely seriously. And so do the teachers in our building. So we did our best, and we are doing our best continuously to maximize our resources. Our resources of professional development, our resources of teachers and aides, and our resources of interventions that you have purchased over the last several years. We are putting those to amazing use, and they are making a difference. We're seeing it in our data every day. We're in a continuous cycle of improvement. So we're looking at that data, we're meeting, we're asking those questions, we're making short-term, long-term decisions. Another major shift we made to our master schedule this year, as our second step, you can see that's the hot pink in the middle for one grade level. But we also shifted our win time, what I need. Every grade level has a half hour every day. In the past, some of them overlapped, but in order to maximize those resources, some specialists that we have dipping in with our students, an instructional support teacher, an aide, and Title I teachers, we've shifted the schedule, and this is another way in which our faculty rose to the occasion. It was a difficult year to make changes like that to our master schedule, but our teachers bought in and have moved forward with it. And that has made a major impact. You can see here the percentages of students, and this is already past old data because our students have recently retaken some assessments, so we're moving again. But in the fall, the first 9 weeks, we had approximately 27% of our first graders were getting a major intervention for a half hour every day. Things that Mrs. Feely presented on last night. Orton Gillingham training. That was a week of a teacher's summer that they went and got Orton Gillingham training. That's phonetic instruction like I've never seen before. And students are moving with that instruction. So they get that half hour of Orton Gillingham or Read 180 in addition to their classroom instruction. And we are seeing growths, and those are the percentages at each grade level. More than a quarter of our grade level are receiving those. I am wrapping up, I promise. Last month, you also saw JA BizTown. Our students recently returned. Sagertown and Cambridge Springs went on December 1st, and I believe Maplewood is set to go in March. It was an amazing field trip for our students. It is based in a lot of curriculum links that I'm not going to read to you because we did have 2 high school students that went along for the ride and have created this video for you.
On December 1st, 5th graders from Cambridge and Sagertown Elementary Schools boarded buses to go to learn financially at JA Biztown. They worked at a variety of jobs, including sheets and UPMC Hammett, learning how to manage money and how to work as a team, among other qualities needed in the real world. Particularly responsible 5th graders were put in CEO and CFO positions and gave opening speeches about their jobs. Here are a few of the articulate 5th graders.
Today our team will be working together to make slime. We will also be selling the slime in our shop, so please stop by during one of your breaks to buy some. Remember to leave the slime in your bag until you are home. We look forward to serving you today.
While we are good businesses, we receive truck deliveries and we are a very independent restaurant. We will help out customers and show them respect and help them out if they need something. We also help our run. We look forward to seeing you in our business.
Today our installation specialist will be installing wireless internet into each business. Each CEO will be stopping by Comcast to purchase their Wi-Fi today. We're looking forward to seeing you. Burns and Scallop. Today, every JA Biztown business will pay rent for the use of their business space. Our leasing agent will have each business CEO sign a realty argument, and our property manager will fulfill any work orders needed completing in your business. Please let us know if we can help you with any question about your lease.
The elementary schools also had the opportunity to practice spending money wisely. With a limit of how much they could withdraw out of the bank at once, they went on designated shopping breaks to check out their peer stores. Students had lunch breaks, practiced following rules set by their bosses and the mayor, and at the end of the day, students who were decided to have put in extra work received a certificate for their accomplishments.
That was a culmination of 9 weeks worth of curriculum that was spread out through all the 5th grade classrooms. And again, all 3 elementaries are doing that. Our elementary went together with Mr. Caro and Sagertown Elementary. And like I said, Maplewood will be going in March. So like I said, it has been a very difficult year, but there are a lot of highlights. And I'm really just, again, I'd like to thank my faculty and staff. They've done just a tremendous job. Any questions? Thank you very much for your time. I greatly appreciate it, and I appreciate the job you do.
Thank you very much.
Nice job.
Thank you, Mr. Stevens. Mr. Mason, I'm going to ask Athletic Director Mason. Can you come up and just introduce the coaches? We have a couple athletic presentations this evening. And then we have, our last one is the auditor report.
You just stand right here in front.
That'll work, yeah, there's a microphone there, it'll work.
Good evening. First, I'd like to thank you for taking time out of your busy agenda to recognize a few athletes from PENNCREST who represented our school district at the highest level. For those of you who don't know, after each athletic season, the board has decided to recognize any athlete or team who qualifies to compete at the state championship level. This fall, we were fortunate enough to have representatives from all three schools qualify for the state tournament. I will let the coach introduce their athletes here in a minute. Unfortunately, the young man from Maplewood who qualified wasn't able to attend, nor could his coach, but I want to let you know who he is. His name is Lincoln Keir. I'll say a few things about Lincoln. Not only did Lincoln qualify at the state tournament for cross country this past fall, Lincoln split his time. He also played soccer for the Sagertown boys team. He had quite a busy fall and qualified at the highest level. And Lincoln, additionally, is a freshman. So I think we'll hear his name again. And I'll make sure he gets the certificate next time I see him. I'd like to introduce coaches, Captain Shader from Cambridge and Bill Hetrick from Sagertown. Invite Mrs. Shader to come up first and talk about her after the certificate. Thank you.
Hi, I'm Kathy Shader. I'm the head coach of cross country here at Cambridge Springs High School. This is Matt McClellan, my assistant, and my athletes participate in Corbin Leonard. These two young men led an amazing team this year. We ended the regular region season 4-4. However, we always managed to rally and we placed third at the District 10 meet. These guys, I have to say, they are some of the finest young men I have had the pleasure of coaching. Hunter Spade ran to a third place finish at District 10 to secure his third appearance at the 2021 PIAA Cross Country Championship. Hunter ran a very respectable 27th place with a time of 17:46. Hunter also qualified for states in his freshman and sophomore years. Hunter was voted Region 3 All-Stars first team for the 2019, 2020, and 2021 cross country seasons. Corbin Leonard has been climbing that proverbial ladder since freshman year. Corbin placed 45th at District 10 in 2019, 36th in 2020, and 13th in 2021 to qualify for the PIAA state championships for the first time as an individual. Corbin finished with a 100th place and a time of 18:39 in states. Both Hunter and Corbin have left a legacy of dedication and perseverance as an example for future cross-country state qualifiers to follow here at Cambridge High School. So, Corbin, I just want to say that these guys exemplify what cross-country is all about. They work really hard. The training regimen is very difficult. You do a lot of long runs, and Matt is there to assist with a lot of that running. They definitely were an inspiration to the younger runners to follow that path. So I hope to have state qualifiers next year and in the future. So you guys did a fantastic job, and I'm very proud of you. Thank you.
Congratulations,
Good evening, everyone. I want to thank you for having us here so we can talk about our athletes. Also, congratulations to the new board members and good luck. Just got a few things to say about my two that made it to the state championship this year. I'm going to start with Sam Hetrick. Sam made his third trip to Hershey this year where he medaled in both his freshman and sophomore years. This year, his junior year, he had a summer injury to his foot over the summer, and we were just hoping he might make states. He did. He did not have his best day there. If you were to talk to him, he would say that he was not happy. He placed 110th out of 259 runners, which that's still pretty good. Next year, I expect he's going to return with a vengeance to regain his form and probably get his third state medal to follow up with his 22nd and 25th places his freshman and sophomore year. Paige, a different story. Paige is a senior. She also made her third trip to Hershey this year, and she placed 21st. Medley for the first time for herself, following up her 67th and 70th place finish her freshman and sophomore seasons. To speak particularly about Paige, it was one of the most incredible races I've ever witnessed down there at Hershey. It was a top 5 moment for me in cross country. This was my 20th year coaching Sagertown High School cross country in addition to other sports. And these two have provided me with some great moments. But top 5 moment for her. She is arguably the best female runner that Sagertown has ever had. She had her personal best time ever at States, the last race of her last year on the hardest course in the state. She saved her best race till the end. I couldn't be more proud. It was an honor to witness that. So thank you for providing the certificates. And we are blessed. And Paige is looking to run next year, and we're hoping that she can do that at college. And Sam's still got another senior year coming, and he's going to be a great leader for us. Thank you.
Thank you. We have with us via Zoom, and Steve, you can hear me, I'm guessing, correct?
Yep, I can hear you. Can you hear me?
Yeah, I can, and I'll try to aim the microphone down here. Steve is going to speak about our audit, and I'm just going to turn it over to you, Steve, all right? And I think we should be able to hear you. And what I'll do is I'll put the audit document up, and as you, if you could just maybe give me page numbers, I'll go accordingly, all right?
Okay, I'll do that. Sounds good.
Thank you so much.
Yep. All right, I'm here to go over the audit report as of June 30th, 2021. I'll keep it brief. I know you guys have a packed agenda tonight, so I will just hit the highlights. We can turn to page 5.
I know, Steve, I'm not doing a good job. Hold on.
Okay.
All right?
All right, page 5. At the first paragraph there states we have audited the accompanying financial statements of the PENNCREST School District as of the year ended June 30th, 2021. The second paragraph states management is responsible for the preparation and fair presentation of these financial statements in accordance with accounting principles generally accepted in the United States of America. And the third paragraph is the auditor's responsibilities to express opinions on these financial statements based on our audit. When we look at page 6, at the top there, the opinion paragraph states, in our opinion, the financial statements referred to above present fairly in all material respects, the respective financial position of the PENNCREST School District as of June 30th, 2021. So in other words, a clean opinion, which is what we strive for every year, we undergo a financial statement audit. And if we can skip ahead to page 18.
All right.
This is the balance sheet of the governmental funds, the page before that, sorry.
Oh, no, that was the wrong 18. Go ahead.
This is a balance sheet of the governmental funds. We'll look at the general fund column first. We had total assets of $25,062,000. Total liabilities is $6.4 million. Total deferred inflows and resources $934,000. So that left us with total fund balance of $17,724,000. Of which there was $320,000 in non-spendable fund balance, $1.7 million committed for those items there, and $6.9 million assigned. That left us with $8.7 million of unassigned fund balance, which represented about 2 months of reserves, which is fairly common amongst most school districts. We look ahead to page 22. This is the statement of revenues, expenditures, and changes in fund balance, comparing the budget to the actual for the general fund. Look at the final budget column first. We had total budget revenues of $52,377,000. Total budget expenditures of $52,504,000. Other financing uses of $1,435,000. So overall, we budgeted for a decrease in fund balance of $1,627,000, or $1,562,000. I'm sorry. If we look at the actual columns, we had total revenues of $56,556,000. Actual expenditures of $51,915,000. Other financing uses of $977,000. So overall, we had a $3,664,000 positive change in fund balance. So about $5.2 million different than what we had anticipated. And a majority of that, if we look at the revenues, our local source revenue was about $359,000 more than anticipated. That was really related to a better than anticipated real estate tax collection. And the big number there in the state sources we received additional basic ed subsidy money. That was common amongst all school districts in the state, so that was something that all school districts experienced. And our federal source revenue is about $780,000 more than anticipated. That was really related to ESSER and COVID money related to the pandemic. Moving at page 24. This is a statement of revenues, expenses, and changes in the food service fund. We had total operating revenues of $113,000, operating expenses of $1,478,000. So we had an operating loss of $1,365,000. Now, the food service fund receives subsidies from the state and federal sources for meals served, and those total amount was about $1,595,000. So overall, we had a positive change in that position of about $230,000. So, that's good when the food service fund at least handles itself. You don't want to see it losing too much money. So, anywhere around a break even or a positive changes is always a positive for the food service fund. And if we can look at page 27, this is a statement of changes in fiduciary net position for the fiduciary funds. There's one new item on this, the student activity fund activity. This is related to a new GASB that was implemented, GASB 84, where it shows the activity of the student activity funds. We'll look at the private purpose trust there. We have total additions of $13,000, total deductions of $10,300. So overall, we have a positive change in that position of $3,500. And on the student activity fund side, we have total additions of $44,000, deductions of $59,000. So overall, a decrease in that position of $15,000. We also did perform a single audit, which because we expend over $750,000 federal awards, we have to select certain of those expenditures to test to ensure that the programs are being operated properly. And we did test the Title I program this year, and we're pleased to say we had no issues. So that's good, because that, you get a lot of funding from the federal government, and they want to make sure that you're spending it properly, so that is also a positive for the district. There were no new footnotes this year. Next year, there will be GASB 87 footnote, which relates to leases, operating leases specifically, that are in excess of 1 year. It won't change any way of how you budget, however, it will be impacting the government-wide statements and showing those items on the full accrual basis. And then I did want to thank Kristen for her help this year. I know it was our first year, filling Brian's shoes, didn't think it was going to be easy, but honestly, I felt it was a seamless transition. I mean, she helped us with everything we needed and was very prepared for the audit, I felt. So I want to thank her and Cynthia and the rest of the admin staff for their help during the audit. Did anyone have any questions?
Yeah, I have a question. This is Mr. DeFrancesco. The paperwork that we're looking at is labeled draft. Is the final any change from this draft? I don't think so.
None of the numbers, no. Really, I just received the MD&A from Kristen today, so I'll review that and we'll have a final report next week.
So the reason it says draft is you have a staffing issue related to COVID or something there along the lines, but the numbers aren't going to change?
No.
And the findings aren't going to change? The position's not going to change? The contact, you want, I don't know why that's.
In the MD&A, yeah, that'll take Kristen.
Okay.
Yep.
All right, so the contact name will change from Brian to Kristen. But that will be it. Other questions for Steve?
Any other questions?
All right, Steve, I appreciate it. Please don't feel like you have to hang out for the rest of the meeting. I appreciate it. Thank you so much.
Thank you. I appreciate having me.
Those are all the presentations this evening. I appreciate everybody's patience. Item 4, any comments, citizens' comments on agenda items at this time? Item 5, item A, recommend approval to accept the following coach resignations as listed.
So moved.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. Any questions?
I'd just like to say we got 4 long-term coaches on here, assistants and head coaches. They've been involved in our kids for a long time. I know that Coach Ward and Coach Johnson took over difficult programs and brought them up from where they were struggling to being some of the best programs in the district. So thank you to all of them.
Thank you.
Is that something different than it's on the agenda? Any other questions? Okay, let's take a vote then. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any objections? No objections? Motion's approved.
Item B, recommend approval of the following coaches and advertisers as listed.
So moved.
We have a motion and a second. Any questions, discussion? If not, let's take a vote. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Objections? No objections? Motion approved.
Item C, recommend approval of student athletic travel as listed.
So moved.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. Any discussion, questions? If not, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Objections? No objections? Motion is approved.
Education Committee, item A, recommend approval of the attached MOU with CareStar Incorporated to assist families with access to county and commonwealth services.
So moved.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. Any discussions, questions? If not, all in favor of the motion say aye.
Aye.
Objections? No objection, motion is approved.
Item B, recommend approval of the attached resources and materials in accordance with policy 109.
So moved.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. Discussions, questions? All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Objections? No objections, motion is approved.
Item 6, recommend approval of the student travel as listed.
So moved.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. Discussions? All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Objections? No objections, motion is approved.
Item D, recommend approval of the attached sale of district equipment in accordance with policy 706 property records.
So moved.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. Discussion? Questions? If not, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Objections? No objection, motion approved.
Item E, recommend approval to recycle obsolete technology and audio-visual equipment.
So moved.
Second.
We got a motion and a second. Discussion? All in favor of the motion say aye.
Aye.
Objections? No objections, motion is approved.
Item F, recommend approval of the attached agreement for 10 AT&T hotspots.
So moved.
Second.
Got a motion and a second. Any discussion?
Are the hotspots, is that like what we had when we had the different areas students could go to? Like what's the use for?
So we have some of those Wi-Fi devices. They're still out in the community. We have 9 of them. The hotspots are specifically for students who have unusual situations for COVID or otherwise, be that homeless students, etc., that have these extenuating circumstances, but we need to get Wi-Fi into their house. And they are in an area that is Wi-Fi enabled, that has access to certain things.
Okay. Any further questions? If not, all in favor of the motion say aye.
Aye.
Objections? No objections, motion approved.
Facilities and Transportation Committee, item A, recommend approval to award the attached Sagertown High School roofing project to Triangle Roofing.
So moved.
Second.
We got a motion and a second. Discussions, questions? If not, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Objections? No objection, motion is approved.
Okay, that came in under bid, correct?
Yes.
About how much?
About $307.
So we were under our anticipated allowance, so it's good news.
We got pretty lucky.
We went out early. Item B, recommend approval of the attached parent-provided transportation agreement for student A.
So moved.
Second.
Got a motion and a second. Any discussion? If not, all in favor of the motion say aye.
Aye.
Objections? No objections? Motion's approved.
Finance Committee, item A, recommend approval of the attached treasurer's reports.
So moved.
Second.
Got a motion and a second. Any questions? Discussion? If not, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any objections? Motion's approved.
Item B, recommend approval of the attached disbursements.
So moved.
Second.
Got a motion and a second. Any discussion, questions? If not, all in favor of the motion say aye.
Aye.
Any objections? No objections. Motion's approved.
Item C, recommend approval of the resolution not to exceed the Act 1 index for the 22-23 school year.
So moved.
Second.
Got a motion and a second. Discussion. Questions? Everybody knows what this is all about? Okay. All in favor of the motion say aye.
Aye.
Objections? No objections. Motion approved.
Item D is regarding the presentation we have. Recommend approval of the attached June 30, 21 single audit report. We will change the name from Brian Hobson and contact information to Kristen Hetrick. Other than that, all the numbers are the same.
So moved.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. Discussion? Questions? Not?
Just
All
a
in favor say
comment.
aye.
Just a comment. Congratulations.
Okay.
Kristen,
Thank you.
first big audit out of the way. Good job, thank you.
All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Objections? No objections. Motion's approved.
Item E, recommend approval to authorize administration to advertise and/or otherwise request bids, quotes for products and services to be purchased during the 22-23 fiscal year.
So moved.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. Discussion? Questions, comments? If not, all in favor of the motion say aye.
Aye.
Objections? No objection, motion's approved.
Item F, recommend approval to contract Burke 1 for the 22 Act 80 comparison services in the amount of $751.90.
So moved.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. Discussion? If not, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Motion approved.
Item G, recommend approval of the following student activity clubs.
So moved.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. Discussion? Questions? All in favor of the motion say aye.
Aye.
Motion approved.
Item H, recommend approval to close the Sagertown High School Science Activity Club account.
So moved.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. Discussion? All in favor of the motion say aye.
Aye.
Objections? No objection. Motion approved.
Personnel Committee, I'd like to run a consent agenda and recommend approval of items A through I as listed.
So moved.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. Any discussion? Questions? Comments? If not, all in favor of the motion say aye.
Aye.
Objections? No objection. Motion approved.
No policy committee agenda items or safety committee agenda items. Under new business, there is a recommend approval of attached board resolution. Resolution,
Want to read that?
sure, the resolution by the PENNCREST Board of Directors to ensure the residents that the district, that the health and welfare of their children will be protected by enforcing the current health laws. Whereas the school district board of directors desires to record in its minutes a regular business meeting, the resolution of dutiful desire to confirm its obligation in accordance with the health laws.
have a motion.
So moved.
Second.
I have a motion and a second. Any discussion? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Objections? Motion approved.
Citizens' comments on non-agenda items. We have 2 registered speakers. First speaker is Mr. Hollowall. Do you have copies?
Okay, for all of those who don't know me, my name's Sean Hollowall, graduate of Maplewood High School, and I'm a daughter who's currently a sophomore at Maplewood High School. I know I don't have a lot of time to speak, so I'll get right to the point. I want to say that it's truly amazing how many bad things I hear from all around PENNCREST School District about coaches within the district. Obviously, there's very good coaches, but there are also some very bad examples of what a coach is supposed to be. I've heard about coaches within PENNCREST showing up to games drunk, coaches showing up reeking of marijuana, and coaches who verbally abuse, mentally abuse, and bully players. All of these are completely unacceptable. I would like to know what the current administration is going to do about it. I would especially like to know what they're going to do about the current Maplewood High School girls basketball coach. And I apologize, this isn't my words. When this individual says things like, I can't get an erection because of the psych medicine I'm on, in front of his 13 to 18-year-old girls. I've asked many people already if they knew a head basketball coach made this comment, and all these individuals asked, is this coach still coaching? And he is. The comments like that and our other hot moms in the stands. These are two comments that this coach recently admitted saying in front of young ladies he is supposed to be coaching. He admitted this in front of the assistant AD for the Maplewood High School at a recent parents meeting, to which the parent asked the assistant AD to make sure Dana Mason, PENNCREST AD, knew that the coach admitted to saying this. I should not have to say another thing. Why is this individual still coaching? When you're making comments, we're all worried about mental health with these young ladies. Why is this individual still coaching? Coach's job is to teach the fundamental skills required to play the sport. Teach them how to play as a team, help them be physically and mentally strong, and to teach them to win and lose graciously. Not to make sexual comments to them or have players look for women in the stands for them. I could go on with comments like, you look like a bunch of monkeys humping a football. Mr. Tim Glasspool told me in a meeting, there's no difference between saying humping and effing. An assistant boys coach from Maplewood was fired for saying the F word one time in the locker room. But this guy seems to be able to say whatever he wants, and yet he's still coaching. Comments like, no matter what ex-player's mom says, Y player's job is not secure because her mom and I used to have sexual relations. Why are you bringing up sexual comments in front of these young ladies? It's inappropriate for a male coach to text individual girls on his team and tell them this conversation is just between us. This has happened multiple times that I know of. So if I know of a couple times it's happened, how many times has this happened? I don't have time to continue with everything. I did put a few more things on the back pages. But I also want to say, what is PENNCREST School District going to do about this? Why is this individual still employed by a PENNCREST School District? This is not new information. Ken Wilforth, Dana Mason, Tim Glasspool all know about it. They've been approached by multiple parents over multiple years. This isn't a one-time incident. This is the entire time this guy's been coaching, and they just choose to do nothing about it. I personally had a conversation with Dana Mason about an incident that happened regarding a player sitting on the coach's lap. I gave Dana the names of people who would tell him they saw it. I personally did not see it. I was called and screamed at by the coach, but I didn't see it. I gave Dana the names of the people. Dana did not contact those people. Dana called the mother, or talked to the mother. He told me to talk to the mother about it, but he did not talk to these people. I want to know why. Why is this individual still coaching with this stuff going on? Why is Dana protecting this coach and not asking the people that saw this happen? Why would Tim Glasspool tell a parent of a player who is also an employee of PENNCREST School District 2 to 3 times this past year that coach will not be coaching this season?
15 seconds, Mr. Holland.
Okay. I had 2 players. Parents asked them to quit because they were mentally abused by this coach. And I would like to know why my 13-year-old daughter is being bullied by the coach when Tim Glasspool tells me that my daughter's being bullied by the coach, and they do nothing about it.
Thank you, Mr. Holland.
Thank you.
Next speaker is Mr. Morehead. He's registered speakers, have 5 minutes.
Members of the board, Mr. Chairman, my name is Doug Morehead. I too have a daughter playing basketball on the Maplewood girls basketball team. She's played on that team since 5th grade. Tomorrow night she gets to start her senior year. And I'm very proud of that program. I'm here to speak on her behalf and the program. After you heard Mr. Holloway's accusations, and that's what they are, accusations, I'd like you to think of 3 things as you consider what you're going to do. 1 is the timing of his accusations. 2, who is not here making these accusations. And then 3, think of the 19 girls that are ready to play basketball tomorrow night. When I say timing, the timing is very significant. 2 weeks ago, the head coach cut 2 girls from the basketball team. 2 weeks ago. One of them was Mr. Holloway's daughter. Now, as a parent, I'd be angry too. But last week, Mr. Holloway sent that email that he probably shared with you, making those wild and sometimes vulgar accusations with all the parents in the basketball team, even some old players' parents. So you got to think about the timing of his complaints. Most of the things he's talking about, too, happened 9 months, years, or more ago. As he says in his email, there's a 30-year history between Mr. Holloway and the coach. So I want you to think about the timing. Second, I want you to think about who's not here. Do you see the girl's parent, who he claims sat on the coach's lap? No, you don't. Do you see any other parents from the basketball team here making these same complaints? No, you don't. Because we've heard them for years, for over a year from Mr. Holloway. I was the president of the Boosters Organization in 2019 and through spring of 2021. I tried to work this issue out between these 2 gentlemen, but it didn't happen. But you don't see other parents here telling you the same thing for a reason. They've looked into it, they've talked to their daughters, they've talked to your administration, they've talked to authorities about it, and it's gone nowhere because they're accusations. The silence of those 19 other parents, of those girls that are playing for Coach Krebs right now, should speak volumes to you. The last thing I'd like you to think about are those 19 other girls. Last year, Maplewood carried 21 girls on their basketball team. That's a huge number. You didn't see any of those numbers anywhere else. Only 5 play at a time. Coach said at the end of the year last year, he's got to cut the numbers down. And he said he would do that, and that's exactly what he did this year. There's 19 girls that worked hard knowing that, went to camps, worked out off season, played by the rules, and made the team this year. And now what Mr. Hollabaugh wants you to do is to take their coach away just as they're ready to start the season. Why? Because his daughter didn't make the team. Many of those girls played last year during the COVID season. They'd be sitting at lunch wondering if they're going to have practice that day because it was going to get canceled. They get on a bus to go to Eisenhower to play basketball thinking, hey, the game might be canceled before we get there. Do you know how many tests COVID tests my daughter had to have just to play basketball last year? Now you're going to give them that uncertainty again as they start to play tomorrow night. Is their coach going to be there or not? You shouldn't do that to them this year. Things are looking a little bit brighter for them, but you shouldn't throw that uncertainty at them this year. I'd like you to think about those three things when you consider what Mr. Hollabaugh told you. And the last thing I'd like to tell you is, come see these girls play. December 18th, it's a Saturday afternoon, we have our first home game. In a time where every kid thinks the basket he made, he should celebrate like it's the final bucket in the NBA Finals. You'd never see that on Maplewood Court. These girls are disciplined, hardworking, and humble. And that's a result of their coaching. Come out and see them play, and then decide for yourself whether you should pursue these accusations. Thank you.
Any additional comments on non-agenda items? Board member remarks?
Board members' remarks. Start with Mr. Brown.
Okay. Well, first off, I'd like to congratulate our new board members, our re-elected board members, congratulations. I hope you find this time as rewarding, but it's also challenging. And there's a lot of challenges we will face every month between budget, crises like what we just heard, and just various other things. But the one thing I go home and remember is our kids are our top priority. No matter what, they have to come first. If we do that, it makes our decisions sometimes easier. They're always challenging. Second, congrats to our cross-country athletes. I am very partial to cross-country, my favorite sport. States was awesome, been there 4 or 5 times, my favorite place to go. So congratulations to the students and the coaches. They did an awesome job as usual. And I have to remiss, last month I was supposed to thank somebody and I forgot. But 5th grade, Secretary 5th grade, they do a newspaper and they sent a couple copies home for me to read. And let me tell you, that was some of the best reading. They'll put New York Times to shame. Good reading, I enjoyed them. So I want to encourage and thank Mr. Askey, Ms. Columbus, Ms. Matera. They did an awesome job, and the students also were phenomenal in their articles, and I really enjoyed it. Keep up the good work. We talked about mental health, and Ms. Stevens does a fantastic job. Thank you very much for everything you do here. And what we saw in Michigan the last couple of weeks, or a couple weeks ago, has to bring to light. One thing that we've said in the past, and I think we need to maybe encourage it again, is if you see something, say something. If that would have applied back in, it was Oxford, Michigan, maybe this would have stopped. There was many places the blame could go around, but the biggest thing was, if you know somebody that's having mental issues, or just issues, just being bullied, whatever, help them seek help. we're not trying to get anybody in trouble. We want to keep that from happening. And we don't know his situation or the situation of others, but it usually stems from bullying or just mean, and they can't handle it. So as teachers, I know we have 2,600 students and 200 plus employees, and it's hard to keep track. But I think we need to encourage the students to help and work together in the community and pray it never happens in our community. The other thing was, I thought about this after the newspapers from 5th grade, and you can't force this or anything, but it would really be nice to see the journalists from the high school newspapers attending the meetings again, hearing from them, and also just, there's been times where students and teachers have asked, I hear you guys are doing this or that. The information, when people aren't here, they hear it second, third person. If we had our journalists here and maybe writing articles on what we are doing, the information would be better prepared, sent out to our community, to our student body, and by all means, they could interview me. I can't speak for everybody else, but it would be nice to see that the students get involved in this process. And I will wrap this up. Hey, last but not least, the BizTown, that was awesome. But last but not least, I just want to wish everybody a Merry Christmas and a happy and safe New Year. And just remember the reason for the season, the birth of our Savior. This is an awesome time, and as a community, let's do the best we can and make it awesome for everyone.
I also want to thank Mrs. Stevens. I thought it was a great presentation, and I'm a big fan of junior achievement. I think it gets people ready for getting out into the market. That's a good introduction for them. I also want to thank our guest speakers just voicing their opinions, and it's important to be able to talk to us to relieve the pressure of holding it in and not having anybody to talk to. So we may not always agree with everything you say, and you still have that opportunity to talk to us, and it's very important. I want to welcome our new members, and I'm going to say Merry Christmas, everybody, and I just love the cards kids made for us. So I like projects like that the kids do, so that's all I have to say. Thank you.
To echo some of what Brian just said, the cards are pretty cool. I think all of us like seeing those. And the other thing, thank you again, Mrs. Stevens, for the presentation and for your dedication and hard work. You can definitely see that. So just thank you for that. That's all I have to say.
Again, echoing everything that's already been said, the cards made my day. Thank you so much for those. That's specifically for me. Email, thank you. And I just wanted to congratulate those that are staying with us and welcome aboard. It will be an interesting time for you to see that. Thank you for joining us, and hopefully we can continue as a group to keep the kids first and foremost in any of our decision making. And thank you, Mrs. Stevens, for your time tonight and every day for your students here at New Bridge and for the principals at the other 5 campuses. Merry Christmas to everybody, and have a safe holiday season. All right, well, I will echo a couple comments that have been made. Congratulations to all across country athletes. But I also wanted to mention, I don't know if you guys follow this on Facebook, but we do have the PENNCREST, because I know Ted just mentioned it'd be great to have, some of those student journalists come. But they posted today on their Facebook page, and I just want to make sure we mention it because my son plays soccer, so I'm partial, so I have to mention it. But he's not on this. But it says, congratulations to Sagertown's boys soccer all region selections. Region 3 second team Andy Rockwell and Conrad Williams were selected. So congratulations to both of those athletes. And then the other one was for the girls soccer team, to Nola Zook, for being named Region 3 second team All-Star for Cambridge Springs girls soccer. So, our athletes are doing things. I know it's not state level, but they did do well and they achieved some level of success, so it's worthy of noting. And I know all of our teams, they work really hard, and I see that, thanks to the parents for running into practice, because I know it is a chore. I know Jeff and I have been we left early for practice pickups and drop-offs. But it's important that the kids are involved in those activities, and it builds character, it builds integrity, and thank you to the coaches. My son did run cross country for a little while, so Coach Hetrick was wonderful. Coach Rockwell, fabulous coach. He had an assistant, Sarah, this year. They just really support the kids, and I can't say enough about that, because it just really, they pour into these kids, and it's great. It's great to see that. So I wanted to make sure we mentioned that, and just, Merry Christmas, Happy Holidays, have a great New Year, and, stay safe. Please hug your families.
Mine's going to be short and sweet because I'm losing my voice. Just want to wish everybody Merry Christmas and Happy New Year.
All right. Again, congratulations to all our athletes. On December 17th, our girls wrestling team will be having wrestle-offs here at Cambridge Springs High School at 7 o'clock. If anyone wants to show up, it's going to be a fundraiser, and the girls are doing a spectacular job with the program club that I'm hoping will turn into a sport by PIAA at some point in time. Good luck to this board. It's easy to lose focus of the school board and make these meetings about things that aren't what are important, which are putting our teachers, staff, and students in position to succeed. Twice as many of our kids are suffering from depression and anxiety. Parents are starting to lose faith in public schools. Our community doesn't understand why they're paying taxes. It's because our school board is setting the tone and not presenting the value of public schools. Hopefully we can change this going forward. We're going to be together for 2 years, barring Tim or I getting tired and resigning or acts of God. I hope we can keep the focus on the students and on getting results during the upcoming months and years. This current board is interesting. There's no educators on the board. The majority of people don't have kids in the school that are on this board. So it's hard sometimes to keep focus on what's important, which is what's happening in the classroom, not what's happening at these meetings. They're very entertaining, and I love to be at them, and so do you guys apparently. But this isn't what's important. And I hope that the school board can get to the point where our student journalists, again, want to come to them and feel like it's worth their time to come to, and it's not just a circuit. Good luck to all our winter sports teams. That's it.
First of all, everybody's been very warm and inviting of me being here, and I appreciate that. Most of my interactions with the teachers and staff have been through my oldest at Sacred County Elementary. And I just want to thank all the staff, all the teachers that I've personally dealt with. They have all really worked hard to make my daughter's kindergarten first year experience through COVID as normal as it possibly could be. The teachers that we've dealt with have all been fantastic and very easy to communicate with, and that's just really helped put my wife and I's minds at ease when she's in school. So thank you for that. Wish everybody a Merry Christmas and a Happy New Year.
Thank you. Well, it's my turn. First, I'd like to remind the new and current board of directors and the public that the mission of the board is to educate the children of the residents of the district in accordance with the educational laws of the Commonwealth and to protect the taxpayers of the district by making sure that the taxes they pay will be spent on the education of all students. Second, the board should recognize that all students in PENNCREST School District are actually minors. In other words, they're either 18 all the way down to 6 years, whatever they attend schools. But these minors are especially protected to the full extent of the law. And the parents of the students need to be assured their children will be protected from any and all harm that could come to them. Lastly, I'd like to bring to your attention to all that 2 days ago, September 7th, was the 80th anniversary of the attack on Pearl Harbor. President Roosevelt stated that then there was a day of infamy and the American people had only to fear itself. America responded to the attack without any fear. Unfortunately, Americans have forgotten not to fear. I would say a lot of Americans, not all Americans. Not to fear itself. Instead, every natural occurrence involved in a health issue nowadays is exploited by special interest groups who instill in fear into many individuals. However, I must say that Americans have a history of being able to overcome every calamity, real or manufactured, which goes back to the Civil War, the Spanish flu, the attack on Pearl Harbor, the AIDS virus, all the way to the present viruses. I am sure that the American people will survive the current crisis again and will come up with a solution in the near future that will benefit all. The last thing that I want to say is Merry Christmas to all, and please remember that Christmas is the namesake of Jesus Christ. So Merry Christmas to all, and enjoy the company of your relatives. Have all the children be happy during the Christmas day, and let them enjoy what Christmas is all about. That's it? Okay, announcements.
The board met in executive session today before the meeting, and upon conclusion, we're going to resume to executive session after the fact for personnel negotiations, litigation, confidential student issues. That's it.
Okay, we're going to re-adjourn after the meeting at the library.
Correct.
Okay, do we have a motion for adjournment?
So moved.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Thank you. Meeting is adjourned.
Thank you so much.